Good morning, my name's Liz Marlowe, and today we're talking to Laura Mead, who is the Church Engagement and Fundraising Officer for Christian Aid, as it's our Christian Aid month. So Laura, welcome, and can I ask you first of all, how has coronavirus affected the work of Christian Aid around the world?
It switched us into crisis mode. In a lot of the countries where we work, they were already experiencing extreme poverty and a lack of healthcare facilities, but coronavirus has, of course, made this much worse, adding to the additional economic crisis that's been caused by lockdowns. So Christian Aid swung into action, and we have so far distributed soap and hygiene packages to about 250,000 vulnerable people to try and prevent the virus spreading. This is particularly essential because in a lot of the countries that we work, like South Sudan, the number of ICU beds and ventilators that they have is 2 ventilators for 12 million people, so we can't allow the virus to spread. We've also been giving food packages to about 60,000 families who've been struggling to feed themselves as a result of losing work following lockdown. So massive scale of effort, but that's because the need is so great.
That's brilliant. So that's good news about some of the stuff you're doing on coronavirus. The other issue that's looming quite large is in the future is climate change, and I wondered what sort of things Christian Aid might be doing around that.
So, of course, one of the things that we can all do is be part of the campaigning effort to make sure that our government take their responsibilities to curb emissions from the UK as quickly as they can. But I think sometimes the scale of the crisis doesn't really hit home until we learn about some of the people who've been affected by it. So when I was in Ethiopia, I met a woman called Mante who lived in a village in the south of Ethiopia, and she described to me how every day she has to walk for 4 hours to collect water. And she described how the area around her village has gotten drier and drier, crops don't grow as well. And originally they thought it was because of their own sin. And after they learned about climate change, whilst they were being supported by our partners, they understood that the scale of the problem was much bigger. And I asked her what she would say to a corporation overseas who refused to change their behaviour, even though they knew about climate change, in order to conserve their profits. And she looked me in the eye and said, if you know about this and how it's going to affect families like mine, and you don't change, I don't think you can call yourself human anymore. And it was the first time that I'd seen her really angry. And that's the reality of life for so many people. They can't grow their crops, they can't wash or drink adequate amounts because of climate change. And the situation is only going to get worse unless richer countries like ours take action now.
Thanks, Laura. That's really helpful. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. There's lots of opportunity for people to donate to Christian Aid through the envelopes that should be popping through everyone's door, or there's information on our church newsletter. Thank you very much, Laura.
Thank you, Liz.